My name is Jeffrey Van Kassel, and I'm the CEO and co-founder at Sterblue.
My name is Antonio Vidigal. I am the CEO of EDP Innovation.
Today I'm really happy to participate to this web series around how to get funding.
In 2018, when you started, you had already spent a lot of money, 5 people full-time. Were you still on 3Fs, family, friends and fools, or we had already got some financing?
That's a good question, and that was a mix of many different types of financing. We did our first fundraising end of 2018, so before that it was a mix of personal funding, of grants from the French government, of bank loans, of a couple of startup contests that we've been awarded for. And before the fundraising we also had a Y Combinator where we get some first funding. So that was, we were really sober in the way we were using our fund, and the team stayed small until there. And yeah, so a really big mix of different type of financing before fundraising.
Would you do it exactly the same, or you would do it differently if you were to start again?
Probably something I've learned is to create a momentum. Everything is about timing, and especially for the fundraising, you need to create a momentum around your company, your project, your team, and every stars need to be aligned at a given time.
How do you look for investors?
There are a couple of criteria that leads us to certain investors and not some other. So the way we find them, first is with the help, of some startup events like Free Electrons, like New Energy Challenge, for example, with AP Illumination Lab, with Plug and Play. So all these programs identify key startups, key investors, and there is kind of a match which is done from there.
I tend to think that corporate ventures have some advantage for startups because typically they can be the first client of the startup, and the startup needs references. And as you know, in the case of EDP, we have tried to build an ecosystem around corporate ventures with the specialists, with a very close relation to the business units, in some way that you can bring some mentorship from the areas and try to focus the startup on what an utility really needs. And when you put that together with Free Electrons, a startup can get exposure to a lot of utilities and focus more to see which is the common ground on their solution for a lot of utilities.
The corporate ventures can make the business smoother for us with their mother company, and we can also benefit from some good advice from institutional funds. And the second thing to identify the right investor is to look for the warm intros from other startup funders. We ask for some warm recommendations because it's much easier to get a first meeting, a first talk with these investors.
SAFE, just to explain, is a simple agreement for future equity. Did you get more SAFE and you advise others to go for a SAFE, or do you think about it?
That's a good question, and there are many different mechanisms to get funded. I'm not an expert, but I can talk about this type of contract. So the simple agreement for future equity is really, I would say, convenient and kind of entrepreneur-friendly. Because it's just a 3-page contract that gives the right to the investor to get some equity in the company as soon as there will be a priced round in the future. And so that allows you to sign it really fast. You go on an online signing platform, and like 30 minutes later you get the contract signed. The day after you get funded. And we got 12 different investors with this mechanism, with the same conditions for everyone. And now I think that there are many investor or accelerator that launch the same type of contract, because this is really convenient and this is not an heavy process. You just put a check and at some given terms, standard terms, and you can move forward really fast. In which type of startup do you invest, in which area? And also, what are you looking for? Maybe in the team, the founders, the product.
We look for startups who can give a big benefit for EDP, disruptive, not incremental, who do things completely different. We are looking for startups which can grow very, very fast. And to be again completely honest, we are looking for startups where we can see an exit in the future.
What is the due diligence process at EDP Ventures? And without going too much in the technical aspects of things, how do you usually assess the startups before investing?
I like a lot to see the office, to see if it is real, if it is not too expensive. And then I like to speak to every single employee of the startup, asking questions, technical questions, and asking about what inspires them, what makes them run and bet on that startup. I learn a lot about it. I must confess that sometimes some startups, when they are beginning, they just have an idea, but they don't know at all how they are going to put it together. They don't have the expertise, and in those situations, we just don't invest. We look at the legal part of it. We look at the business plan. We look if the achievements which are claimed by the startup are real, and if the projections are bold enough and looks feasible. We start with the 3 Fs, family, friends, and fools, because we have just an idea and are not able to go for investors.
Then the grants and the bank loans can be done when you are a little bit later in stage.
And then you have advantage of looking at programs like the free electrons, where you have the occasion of exposing your ideas to a group of utilities.
And one important point is definitely to get your pitch ready, and something simple is complicated to do, but also really powerful.
And having made the pitch, you will be going to be able to get some investments, say seed money.
Create a momentum, a fear of missing out, a FOMO, just to make sure every investor are gathered at the same time to invest in your company.
Along the way, we are going to be subject for several due diligences. You have to be prepared for that, everything tidy, all the documentation tidy and organized.
And
then you are
in
in business.